Hello and welcome, Rahul. You're watching me on my YouTube channel, my talks, and if you're watching me consistently, welcome back to my channel. I always try to throw light on certain topics which can be used as tools or information to become more valuable, to become more relevant in this information age, because it is important that we be pertinent to all the opportunities that are coming our way. Because if we are not honing our skills, if we are not improving our skills, that means we will leave all those opportunities that may arrive in our lap, and others who are working on themselves, who are honing their skills, who are understanding exactly that how the system has been shaped, and we have conditioned this world in financial values, in monetary values. If you don't have good financial standards, you won't survive, even you won't be given that very reverence or respect that you crave. And that is why, for finding a better livelihood, for finding a better status, it is important that we become relevant and we keep improving our skills. Otherwise, there are a lot of means. You can dissipate your energy, you can dissipate your time through scrolling up and down and watching all those futile reels, so it won't add you values. And that is why I always tell you that please subscribe to my channel. If you will listen to me for at least 6 months, your knowledge will be really profound. And that is why it is important and imperative that we understand exactly how to survive in the system. Because universe is a superset, universe is a system, and we are variables in that very system. Planets, stars, each are part of that very universe, or whatever, body we have got, or anything that is moving in this universe, everything is actually in motion. So everything is being worked through a system, and most of its variables have been, you know being studied through scientific means. We have decoded a lot of its functionality, through science, means of science. But still, the universe is a superset, and we are somewhere which, we are such a kind of a species. We have only decoded a little bit of that, not much more. But we can see that we are still studying scientific rules and regulations and laws have been validated in labs and laboratories, and that is why it helps. But most of the rules have come from contemplation, have come from very deep thought and meditation. That is what I'm telling you. Most of them are derived from philosophies. So we cannot underestimate that. Yeah, whatever we have decoded with the help of science is still a subset of superset that is being functioned. There are a lot to be discovered. And in quantum state, whatever happens in quantum state, we have discovered very little of that. We have just embarked on that very journey where we can decode quantum level information, So it is still, we are still in primitive stage. We can say that if we, in terms of quantum computing or whatever you say, understanding the functionalities of the universe. So I just want to tell you that if you think of the system universe, you have to think in a different way. Yeah, most of the things that happens, it has universal laws. Unfolding of events, many of the events are very, very intrinsically, coded with the law of universe. But I would like to tell you that after 30, many of us, we all are programs in the system. After 30, most of them are drifted towards compromised laws and manipulation that is being happening in the system. 90%, 90, more than 98%, programs and peoples and entities have been drifted towards negative sides, and as after 30 years, what happens? Most of the people try to drift towards negativity, and that is where the devil program, thrives on fear, on manipulation, on egoistic values, on chaos. That is what he thrives on. That is what we have to understand. But I would like to tell you that most of the people who are illuminating your path, who are throwing light, they are trying to help us. Even among those 98% who drifted towards compromised values, ethics, or their virtues becomes vices, they get against to those 2% who are illuminating light, who are trying to enlighten the path, and who are giving you opportunities, even to these 98% programs, to find what is lacking in their program. But they don't want to see the light, they just want to be in their darkness, in their all their old paradigm and they don't want to change. Even they can become deadly to all these 2% people. They can become enemies of these 2%. And that is what is the reality of nowadays. So how we can understand that we are in an unbiased system? We have to understand exactly at the most of the real principle. I will say the micro happenings in the world are still working on virtues, but somewhere the manipulation, the upper layer of the functioning has been compromised with vices, with wrong principles. That is what they are drifting towards as they gain experience. They try to drift themselves because they cannot face the reality, and that is where the maximum programs, of matrix. That is where they think that they are in control. That is where they think that they are controlling these species that we call human. That is what we have to understand. But if you really want to be an anomaly in the system, who can find enlightenment, who can oppose all these programs and can understand their manipulation, can understand and read the devil's intention, and can stand after all that, and can surmount and can overcome, then your legacy will be different. Even you will be identified by the universal systems, suns and other stars. That is what universe will start communicating to you. Universe has a different programming. It has many programs within it, and it has its own principles, it has its own algorithm. That is where it try to compute you. If you tell me that universe could be a system, then why don't we get manipulated where we are getting benefit? The question may arise, but you only benefited at a limit. The devil can only feed you what it in his hand. But I'm telling you, universe is a mother program. That is what you have to understand. And whatever it gives you, it understands exactly how to punish you and how to give you advancement. And that is why in these functions, in these happenings, we are being evaluated. That is what we have to understand. That is what we have to understand. And once we realize that, see, in this system, you don't think that if you become an anomaly, universe cannot read it, and if you shake hand with the devil, universe cannot do to you anything. After all, there are many programs, they all are reading. When you will be an anomaly, they will have an eye over you 24/7. They will be reading you, they will be having every upgraded program will be after you. That is what you have to understand. But once they will evaluate you, they will keep an eye on you, they will have to also part their ways. They will be along with you, but they will have to part their ways. They will have to give you the space that you crave, that your light craves. They have to give that space because they don't understand. They exactly understand that at the end of the day, they need light. That is what is the reality. And light sources have a limited number in the whole system, but they are more profound. That is what we have to understand. And once you understand, because many of the people nowadays in the contemporary time, they think that they can manipulate and they can shake hands with the wrong program. They can surmount all these things and they won't be punished, or their life will be really fortune. They might fortune for ephemeral time, for a little bit of time, but for eternity, if you really want to shine, you will not have to be compromised. You have to stand as a light bearer. Yeah, you have to endure. You have to endure. You cannot react to the system, because if you start reacting, there are many happenings, there are many functioning of the universe, or most of the programs are compromised. They will so vex you that you will be torn apart. So what you want to get that all those scars? Yeah, scars signs, but in limited numbers, where you can surmount that, where your victory will see that you have surmounted all these scars. That is what is your gain. But if you lose in between, then you won't be called a hero. You won't be called a triumphant. Whatever you say, you cannot triumph that. That is what I'm telling you. If you really want to be victorious, if you really want to be someone who can have deep insights, see, the program is very intricate, and the system knows everything. But system in itself has been programmed. So it could have programs within which all are conscious, which is feeding back to the system. But the whole system, the macro system, is not conscious in itself. It is still a system. We are variables within. We have consciousness. Other programs have consciousness. Other entities have consciousness. System has evaluation process. That is what we have to understand. But don't think that you can manipulate all these things and you can outrun the big program, because we are still very tiny. All we have moral values, we have virtues. That is what is giving us chance to transcend, and that is what is your real gold and your real ornament. Thank you for listening to me.